Today I'm going to show you how to make this 1-to-1 scale armored titan design in Minecraft. This is something that was originally designed by the YouTuber Nav9, and I took that and I modified it quite a bit to a point that I really liked it, and that is what I've got here. And in this video I'm going to show you how you can make it. But before I get onto that, there's a few things I need to mention. This is going to be the first in a series of mini videos where I'll be going over how to make a lot of the shifter titans from Attack on Titan, and I'm going to try to do them in the order that they were shown. However, I think that the Colossal Titan would be a bad one to start off with, so that's why I've got the Armored Titan going first. As I said before, Nav9 has created so many amazing designs for the scaled titans. That is, they are the size that they would be compared to the player model, which is that every block is equal to 1 meter. So since the Armored Titan is 15 meters, he's 15 blocks tall. So that's why it's a 1-to-1 scale. I highly recommend you go watch some of his videos. He's got some great size comparison videos where he's got some of these designs on display and a few tutorials of his own. So his link is in the description, also to his Planet Minecraft account, which is how I found out about a lot of these designs, and this is one of them. And I've gotten permission to make a tutorial on how to build it, but just remember that this was originally designed by Nav9, and I have made a bunch of modifications, such as texture changes and then some shape differences. So if you want to go look at the original, there will also be a link to that in the description as well. Alright, now that that is out of the way, let's get on to building this thing. I'll start off with the material list. These are all the items that you will need with the hopefully correct number. I used the mod Lightmatica to calculate all these numbers, so I'm not sure if it's exact because I didn't count for myself. And these items down here, if you're playing in just plain old normal vanilla survival, you're probably not going to need these, or maybe the item frames, because, and I'll kind of touch on this later, this build uses some world edit tricks. So even if you, this is kind of a side note, but if you're okay with having mods, you know how to install them, mods are pretty easy for you, I would always recommend having world edit. It is a great mod, probably the best mod that you can get. But anyways, I'm going to be using world edit to get some automatically powered trapdoors, so I don't need any power source directly going into the trapdoors to power them. And then I'm also going to have some invisible item frames, which uses commands. So if you don't have that, then don't worry, because these are not really essential to the build. So when we get to that, I can kind of show you what you can do if you have no access to world edit or commands, because like I said, they're not essential to the build, so you don't need to worry too much. But if you are going to be making this in creative and you have access to commands and stuff like that, yeah, I would definitely recommend doing what I'm going to be doing in here, which is going to be building in creative. Here's just some info you can read, and then these are command blocks that I'm going to use later when I need the invisible item frames. Alright, let's finally get started with the actual building. So I'm going to be using Lightmatica, which is pretty much the best mod for whenever you're trying to build something that you don't want to memorize, because memorizing stuff for tutorials is just, it sucks, because I've tried to do it before, and yeah. So this is basically just the best mod for that. So that's why you kind of see these ghost blocks, because that's telling me where something should be. But don't worry, it'll disappear once I place it there. So if you want to make this on your own in creative, you can just follow along. I'm just going to be building it. I'll probably be silent most of the time because I don't have something to talk about the entire time. So I'm starting off with the left leg, and I'm going layer by layer, which I think is also how Nav9 did it in his tutorials. So I guess that works out pretty nicely. So that's going to be the other leg now. And I think it's a good time to mention, now that I've got this birch here, that if you've watched season 4 and assuming the other seasons before that as well, you might have realized that the armor titan looks a bit different in season 4 than in the previous seasons before that. It's probably because of the studio change, but that's besides the point, because he gets lighter in season 4. So if you're going for a season 4 look, I would recommend using more birch rather than oak. And if you want to go for the season 1, 2, or 3 look, I would recommend going for more oak instead of birch. I'm going to be using kind of a mix of all of them, or of both of them. So, yeah, it's kind of the in-between. But if you want to go a certain way, definitely do that. You can keep the shape the exact same, just change the type of wood. Alright, there's that layer done. And the way I'm, in case you're wondering, because I didn't learn this until way later than I should have known. If you don't know how I'm getting all these blocks, is I'm using the middle mouse button to automatically select it, so it's just easier rather than having to search for everything. So, in case you're wondering how that's happening. Alright, there's that leg mostly done, I think. One little bit. This doesn't really matter. This is just me trying to get it perfect. Alright, there we go. Perfect direction now. Lightmatica is very strict on what direction you place the blocks in. So I just try to get that right. Okay, looks like the legs are done. Now onto the rest of the body. Alright. If you didn't realize it before, the pose that I'm going for with this, which is the one that Nav9 originally came up with, the pose, it is from I think it's the second episode, when the armored titan smashes through the gate. He goes into this kind of charging position with one arm forward, and running. So that is what this pose is, in case you're wondering. Alright, now we're getting onto this arm. I'll do this first though. Oops. Alright, got that the right way. It's already blocked there. Something that you can do with these signs is you can kind of write whatever you want on them. For example, if you want to go like this, just to give it some, you know, like details. Like that. As like lines that are, I don't know, on his arm. You can do that, but you know, I'm not going to get that complicated into the detail stuff. just kind of a recommendation if you want to go like all out on the details. Alright, here's this hand. There we go, that's the right way. Some more signs. I'll just have to leave it like that. Don't forget some of the inside stuff. Alright, looks like that layer is done. Almost done with the whole thing now. Thing doesn't really take long to make when you've got creative, you know, flying and able to grab whatever block you want just by looking at it. But if you were to build this in survival, I would probably guess, I mean, I guess it depends on the person, but I guess like an hour it would take to get this whole thing done. If you're following along in a somewhat efficient way. Alright, I think the next layer coming up should be... actually no, it's the one after this, where I will kind of talk more about the invisible item frames and the world edit trick to get iron trapdoors to be powered. Alright, almost done with this. This right here is the bottom of the head, so like the mouth, the jaw, and I'll put up a picture on the screen right now. You can see that the armor doesn't go all the way, you know, like the this colored, the oak colored armor doesn't go all the way down, and you can kind of see like the meat part, the muscle part, I don't know what you would call it. And so if you want to go for a more armored look, you can just use oak for this, but I kind of wanted to mix the two, even though that's pretty much impossible with one solid block, so I went for the color that's in between. So the mouth might look a little strange up close, but I think from a distance it'll kind of give that same look to it. So whatever you think looks best, go ahead and do that. And we've got oak on the top, because that is what looks best. Alright, I think I've got everything down now. So what I'm going to do first is show you what you can do with item frames. So first I'm going to use just the basic item frames. Gold ingot and an oak door. Actually 2 gold ingots. And you can use glowing item frames like so. And you can use a regular one because you don't want the ear to be glowing. But at night, these will glow, which they do in the show. And then the ear, you can turn sideways. This is one of those things that's like so insignificant, it would barely make a difference if you chose to not do it. But it is, I think, better than not having it there, so I decided to put it there. And now you don't have to do this because it does look a little strange. So I'm going to remove these. And if you have access to commands, I would definitely recommend doing this. I'll leave the commands for these in the description so you can copy and paste that into the chat or command block. So we've got invisible glowing, I'll put right there, and then the basic invisible one right there. And then grab gold and grab a door. Tap that once, and leave that be. And there you go, you've got your eyes and an ear, which you can barely even tell. So that is how you do that. You can kind of act accordingly based on whatever your situation is. And now, if you don't have world edit, and you can't get vertical trapdoors, which are powered, you can just use birch, and it'll look fine because it's got white like his hair is, and it also kind of matches with this birch color. However, I would, if you have the ability to, I would recommend using world edit. So you can just place whatever blocks here, and you do / set iron trapdoor. You do open equals true, and then comma facing equals whatever direction it is. You'll probably have to guess and check, but I think I remember it being south for me. So there we go. So that changes, and then I can do the same for that. If I was to try to do this basically without world edit, it wouldn't really be possible. Maybe if I put a lever on the head. Yeah, but that's where the hair goes, so can't really do that. So that is that layer done. Probably the most confusing part of this whole thing. And now we get onto the hair, which you can do by placing them like this. If you rotate 360 degrees, and then a bit of a shoulder thing right there. And there it is. It is all done now. If you enjoyed this tutorial or found it useful in any way, I would appreciate a like, and a comment would also be nice as well. And if you like this design, you should also go and let Nav9 know, because this wouldn't be possible without the original creation that Nav9 came up with. So once again, credit to them. If you want to see me do more of these videos, I'm planning on making the Colossal next, which is probably going to be a 2 or 3-parter. So watch out for that. There will be a link to it once it comes out. If you want me to continue this series, let me know. I'm probably going to continue it anyway, but if I know people are liking it, that would always help. Alright, see ya.